It was a moment that captured both frustration and satire in one theatrical swoop. Whoopi Goldberg leaning all the way back into her chair, eyes rolled to the ceiling, effectively collapsing under the weight of yet another fiery political segment on The View. The conversation, which took place during a live taping of the show, centered on President Trump's controversial tariff policy and its ripple effect on consumer goods, with Amazon's pricing update becoming the latest flashpoint. The EGOT winner's dramatic reaction wasn't just a moment of levity. It was a mirror held up to the collective exhaustion so many Americans feel about the state of political discourse and economic strain. The segment began as Goldberg expressed her dismay over Trump's approval ratings following his first 100 days back in office. Her frustration was palpable as the discussion shifted to new developments from the White House. Specifically, Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt had addressed concerns over Amazon's decision to include an extra price label, one that highlights how much Trump's tariffs are inflating the cost of goods. Leavitt, standing firm in support of the policy, urged Americans to trust the president's economic agenda, calling his past term a model of historic success. But the success being sold didn't sit well with Goldberg or her fellow co-hosts. As the camera panned back to the studio, Goldberg was no longer upright in her chair. She had gone full-on horizontal, arms down, face tilted skyward in a deadpan parody of fainting. Her silence said what many were thinking: how can this possibly be real? The live audience chuckled, but the message was clear: there's a limit to how much spin people can stomach, especially when it affects their wallets. Joy Behar, always quick to jump in, tried to revive Goldberg from her comedic coma with a playful plea of "come back, Whoopi," while Alyssa Farah Griffin feigned concern, calling out, "We lost Whoop." Goldberg, of course, wasn't actually unconscious. She snapped back into her seat with a mock-dazed expression, shaking her head and admitting she was at a loss for words. And really, can you blame her? Sarah Haynes then picked up the thread with a thoughtful response, cutting through the chaos with clarity. She defended Amazon's pricing adjustment, stating that transparency is important, especially when companies are forced to pass new costs onto consumers. According to Haynes, if President Trump truly believes these tariffs are beneficial, he should proudly own the consequences rather than lash out when the public starts to notice the effects. This wasn't just another spicy, hot topics debate. It was a real-time performance of the disbelief and exasperation many Americans feel when faced with decisions that affect everyday life, but are dressed up as political wins. Goldberg's exaggerated collapse might have been played for laughs, but it also perfectly summed up the broader sentiment. It's getting harder and harder to keep a straight face when politics start to feel like parody. And on this day, The View didn't just comment on the news. It became part of the story, with Whoopi Goldberg's silent protest echoing louder than any debate ever.